Now, are we always operating from our values? Are we always operating from our values? Raise your hand if you don't think we're always operating from our highest values. Raise your hands. That's pretty unanimous. Yes. I'd be very surprised if you thought we were, because I think in our current state of human evolution, we are very much wired for different things, to actually disempower ourselves. So we're going to explore this for a second, why we're not always in our values, connected to our values. We're often connected to something, you could say, that is maybe holding us back. Have you ever felt you holding yourself back? No? Yes? Yes? Yes. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I've got thoughts in my head that hold me back all the time. So what we're going to spend a little bit of time on is like, where do these thoughts come from that hold me back? This challenge look more difficult. Let me ask you a question to explore that. Have you ever been late for a meeting or a class? Raise your hand. I'm seeing if you're still awake. Yes, most of us have, right? What do we say to the reason of why are we late for a meeting? What do we say as a reason for why are we late for a meeting? What do we say? What are some reasons we give for being late for a meeting? Yes? Traffic. Brilliant, you won the prize. It's like, yes, traffic, right? Traffic. We think I'm late for a meeting because of traffic. Because of traffic. Or what are some other reasons? What are some other reasons that we give? Yes? I woke up late. Yeah, I was very tired. That's what happened. It could happen, right? Or what else happens? What else? Why are we late for meetings? Bring it on. Why are we late for meetings? Yes? I calculated the time wrong. That's a very responsible answer already. Why is traffic, or like I had back-to-back meetings, or there was too much time between the classes to walk, all this stuff? Why is that such a great reason? Why is traffic such a great reason? It's something I can't control. So something in our mind loves things that are comfortable. Think about the crossing of the arms that we cannot control. Because why is something that I cannot control such a great reason to give? What does that give me? An excuse. So traffic actually gives me an excuse. Traffic makes me innocent. Traffic makes me innocent. That's what it gives me. So I gravitate to things that are outside of my control because then I am innocent. Right? Okay. Now, what happens if I keep thinking about having to be innocent? Like I think about my challenge about the traffic, being late for a meeting, and I keep thinking about traffic. And next time I'm planning for a meeting, all I can think of is traffic, 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 traffic. It's traffic. What's the chance I'm going to be on time next time? Very low, right? Why? Because my mind is totally filled with excuse. So the downside of this kind of thinking that disempowers me, that disconnects me from my wisdom, is that I become choiceless. I become choiceless. And you could say, the person that sees fewest choices is often the least powerless person. The least powerful person that sees fewest choices is the person that sees that is often most powerless. See that? Like if I think with Mary, it's my way or your way or end of project. That's very limited. It's very narrow thinking. You see that? So actually, the least powerful person in the room is the person that sees fewest choices. And this happens because I'm focusing all my attention on factors that are outside of my control. Outside of my control. And we can give a name to this kind of thinking. You recognize this kind of thinking in yourself? You try to, something happens, it's like, it's not me. It's a difficult client. Or, the difficult boyfriend or girlfriend. Or the difficult friend. Or the professor didn't get it. Or the whatever. The stuff was not available online or whatever it was. Do you notice that in your mind? It's part of our evolutionary thinking. This is where we're at. Yes. Okay, so this kind of thinking that is outside of our control, we can give a name. You can call this victim thinking, or also reactive thinking. Reactive thinking. Reactive thinking. Why would we call it victim thinking, you think? Why would we call it victim thinking? What do you think? Yes, you.
Because you think you're the victim?
Yeah, you're like, oh, well, poor me, like Mary doesn't get me. Or whatever it might be. Yeah, you see that? Okay, so that's the bad news. That's the bad news, that this is part of how our mind sometimes works when we're not at our best. Now, what is a different alternative? What's a different reason we can give for why you're late for the meeting? What's a different reason we can give? I was late for the meeting because I didn't prepare, or I didn't plan well, right? So I didn't plan well. So you could say, I was late for the meeting because given traffic, I left late. Given traffic, I left late. It's probably hard for you to read at the end of the room. I'm going to read this. Given traffic, I left late. Given traffic, I left late. I could blame the flip chart for being too small. Or I can do something to see. There's a challenge. They might not be able to read that. So let me see what we can do about that. Oh, I can actually talk about it. How we can make it more legible. Okay, given traffic, I left late. Now, why is this such a wonderful way of thinking? Why? What does that give us? What does that give us? What does it give us?
Power.
Power, how?
You're taking responsibility for it, so you're allowing yourself to be in a position where you can overcome things.
Yes, because I spend some time, like here's the challenge and I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to engage my mental capacity. I connect with it. I use my higher intelligence to engage as opposed to turning myself off. Right? I become choiceful. I become choiceful. So the power here is I become choiceful and I make myself responsible. Like choiceful, responsible. Now, what's the downside of this? Let's say you have a meeting with the dean of the Foster School of Business. Or you have a meeting with this employer where you really want to work. I don't know, where do you want to work? What are some companies or places you want to work? Yell them out. Any ideas? You don't want to work anywhere. Where do you want to work? Huh? Nordstrom. Let's say you have an interview with Nordstrom. And you run, and the interview is at 9. But because you had one lovely party the evening before, or something like that, you show up at 9:15. And you've just been through this class about victims. Like, I'm not going to be a victim. So you show up and you say to this person from Nordstrom, saying, yeah, I don't want to be a victim about this. I'm showing up at 9:15 because I slept in. I'm taking responsibility. It's true. How does that feel? Maybe not so great. kind of uncomfortable. So actually the downside of taking responsibility is that I put myself in the hot seat. I put myself in the hot seat. I'm going to have to, the more I connect to what's important to me, the more I have to take responsibility. It's not always great news, is it? The more I take responsibility, the mind's very creative. I can come up with hundreds of reasons why things don't go well that have nothing to do with me. But if I want to connect, I have to put myself in the hot seat. This thinking is not about things that are outside of my control. These things are about things that are within my control. They are within my control, right? They are within my control. They are within my control. They're within my control. And this I also call the 1% principle. The 1% principle. Why do you think we call it the 1% principle? Why do we call it the 1% principle? What do you think? Anybody from the back? Why do we call it the 1% principle as opposed to the 99% principle? We're focusing on the 1% that is within our control as opposed to thinking about the 99% that is not within our control. Does that make sense? So we're actually looking at the 1% that's within my control as opposed to the 99% that is outside of my control. Okay, that's why you call this the 1% principle, and this we can call 99% reasoning. It's very busy. I can come up with lots of excuses about why Mary is not doing this, and why my husband is not doing that, and why politics is not doing this, and why my parents are not doing that, and my siblings, and my friends, and my endless reasons. As opposed to thinking, in control. What is within my influence? What do I value? What do I value?